This is a tutorial about how to use the Google News Advanced Search in order to find information from newspaper articles for your civil rights movement research assignment using primary sources. Let's limit our years to the civil rights era, 1954 through 1972, and years beyond those limits will be considered off limits for this particular assignment. So first thing you need to do is review the details of the assignment on other documents on the Moodle page. For example, the basic instructions are here on the revised newspaper articles assignment, which you can download. And don't forget to study the rubric. That'll show you how assessment is going to be done for both the research part and the presentation of the assignment. Part of that assignment requires a cover sheet, so there's a template for the cover sheet on the Moodle page. Also, I've included a timeline of events of the civil rights movement and the Black Power era in order to give you some names and events and dates that can help you get started. Also on the page, be sure to check out your presentation date if you don't know it already. So there's a list of individuals and the dates that they have to present. Now the next thing is how to do the actual Google search. And this is Google Advanced Search, so probably the best way to find it is just go to the regular Google search page and type in the Advanced Search for Google News. And enter that in our search bar, and that should bring us to the News Archive Advanced Search page. When that page comes up, you'll see that a pop-up window appears very quickly, and these where you enter your search parameters in order to get what you need. Before you really get to this page and start working, though, you have to do some preliminary research. You have to know who you're going to be researching, or what event or what organization, so you have a basic idea of what to put in these search window here. And so I'm going to use the example of Medgar Evers. So I'll type in his name. And my preliminary research, I found out that he was an activist in Mississippi in the late 1950s up through 1963, and then he was assassinated on June 12th, 1963. And so he was a leader of the NAACP in Mississippi, so we'll use NAACP as one of the search terms. A key word for the civil rights era is freedom, so we can put that in there. He was seeking desegregation, so that's another possible search term. And these issues involve questions of race and so on, so how about using race as another possible term. And I know that he died on June 12th of 1963, so we should limit the search to times when he was active. So click on this window, Date Added to Google News, and open it and click on Specified Dates to be able to search and limit the dates he was active, the date you're searching for, rather. And let's use January 1st, 1958 as our starting date, a couple years before he was killed. And maybe July 1st, 63, which will include articles from after he died and what they might say. Thinking about this as a strategy for search, it'd probably be good to get articles that were written before he was killed, as well as one or two afterwards. So we'll have at least one or two articles from before and one or more afterwards. Remember, the assignment requires you to identify and use at least 3 regular articles. You can use more if you can fit it into your presentation to keep within the 4 to 7 minute limit for presenting. Also, you need to find one collateral article. And so let's do this search and see what comes up and check it out. Most of the hits are for periods after his death. So that seems like it's going to clog up our search. We might want to go back and do another one and end it maybe the day before he was shot to see what people were writing about him before his assassination, so his murder doesn't become the sole focus. We'll start by clicking on this May 26, 1961 article, revisiting that. I opened this page for you in Classroom last week. And this takes us to an article. Let's enlarge, let's go to full screen mode here so we can see more of the article. The article has a little bit about Medgar Evers, but not much. It just mentions that the Freedom Riders who were jailed in Jackson refused the NAACP offer for bail bond. And so I'd like to see an article with a bit more meat, a little more substance than this one. So let's reject this one. But if we go back to regular screen mode, we notice that in the adjacent pages there's a political cartoon. So we can take a look at that. Now this would make a good collateral item because it tells something about what was happening. If we look at it, it shows a law enforcement official who looks like a fireman, but he's wearing a badge that says law enforcement. And he's ready to put out a fire that racial agitators are about to start with their gasoline and matches. And it says, "Firemen, save me if I start something." So it shows somebody acting very irresponsibly. But who is that? The language is somewhat ambiguous. It could be the people who are, say, the people who bombed the bus that the Freedom Riders were on and set it on fire. Or it could mean something else. And given the code words of that era, it probably does mean something else. It's most likely that people in South Carolina or other southern states who are reading this interpreted racial agitators to mean the Freedom Riders. People up north could read the same cartoon and understand it to mean the people who are obstructing the civil rights protests. A clue on this paper's interpretation comes from the editorial that's right next to the cartoon. This is the article that says "hurtful to country," and the point of the editorial is that the Freedom Riders are making the country look bad because if they hadn't started these protests, none of the violence and riots that had occurred would have been in the newspapers. And the text says, "If race riots give the United States bad press abroad, and government spokesmen are making this charge, then loyal Americans should do anything to avoid stirring up trouble." And who are the people stirring up trouble? Well, it's CORE Riders, the Congress of Racial Equality, Freedom Riders. And he concludes that Attorney General Kennedy should have thought about the damage to the national prestige before he sanctioned CORE's latest hate campaign. So the Freedom Riders, the ones who were attacked, are the ones who are accused of waging a hate campaign. And that gives us a clue in how to interpret this language, racial agitator. So we should clip these and save them as examples of the collateral information that we're finding, because these aren't about Medgar Evers, but they provide some interesting information. So first, let's find the information about the newspaper. As this is page A6 of the Charleston, South Carolina News and Courier. So first, let's clip the News and Courier logo here, the masthead, with the page number on it, to document where we get this news clipping. So the function is Command-Shift-4 gives us our crosshairs, and we can move them, highlight the masthead, and release the mouse, and it saves it to our desktop. And then we can simply grab and move the image over. Put it in full screen mode and Command minus to reduce it to a catchable size so you can see everything on screen. And then Command-Shift-4, we get the crosshairs and we select the image plus the caption underneath. Click Release Save to the desktop. And so we have saved the image and the masthead. And why don't we also click and save that editorial from the same page. We'll just take the last 3/4 of it. So Shift Command 4. All right, and so that lets us save these clips to import into a PowerPoint presentation. And do the same thing. Look for other articles. Find ones that have some good information, and clip, save to your desktop or wherever, and import into a presentation.